Coordinates: 4 degrees 35 S 55 degrees 40 A, 4.583 degrees south 55.667 degrees east, minus 4.583. 55.667 in Africa. French. Or, officially the Republic of Seychelles to the east. Its estimated population of 98,462 is the smallest population of any sovereign African country. Seychelles was uninhabited prior to being encountered by Europeans in the 16th century. It faced competing French and British interests until coming under full British control in the late 18th century. Since proclaiming independence from the United Kingdom in 1976, it has developed from a largely agricultural society to a market-based diversified economy, characterized by rapidly rising service, public sector, and tourism activities. From 1976 to 2015, nominal GDP grew nearly 700%, and purchasing power parity nearly 1,600%. Since the late 2010s, the government has taken steps to encourage foreign investment. Today, Seychelles boasts the highest nominal per capita GDP of any African nation. It has the second highest Human Development Index of any African country after Mauritius. It is one of only 2 African countries classified as a high-income economy by the World Bank. Despite its relative prosperity, poverty remains widespread, as it has one of the world's highest levels of economic inequality and markedly unequal wealth distribution, with the upper and ruling class commanding a vast proportion of the country's wealth. Seychellois culture and society is an eclectic mix of French, British, and African influences, with more recent infusions of Chinese and Indian elements. The country is a member of the United Nations, the African Union, the Southern African Development Community, and the Commonwealth of Nations. Seychelles were uninhabited throughout most of recorded history. Some scholars assume that Austronesian seafarers and later Maldivian and Arab traders were the first to visit the uninhabited Seychelles. This assumption is based on the discovery of tombs, visible until 1910. The earliest recorded sighting by Europeans took place on 15 March 1503. Recorded by Tomé Lopes aboard Rui Mendes de Brito, part of the 4th Portuguese India Armada commanded by the Portuguese Admiral Vasco da Gama. Da Gama's ships passed close to an elevated island, probably Silhouette Island, and the following day Desroches Island. The earliest recorded landing was in January 1609, by the crew of the Ascension under Captain Alexander Sharpe during the 4th voyage of the British East India Company, a transit point for trade between Africa and Asia. The islands were said to be occasionally used by pirates until the French began to take control, starting in 1756 when a stone of possession was laid on Mahé by Captain Nicolas Morphy. The islands were named after Jean Moreau de Seychelles, Louis XV's Minister of Finance. The British frigate Orpheus commanded by Captain Henry Newcombe arrived at Mahé on 16 May 1794. During the War of the First Coalition, terms of capitulation were drawn up and the next day Seychelles was surrendered to Britain. Jean-Baptiste Queues de Quincy, the French administrator of Seychelles during the years of war with the United Kingdom, declined to resist when armed enemy warships arrived. Instead, he successfully negotiated the status of capitulation to Britain, which gave the settlers a privileged position of neutrality. Britain eventually assumed full control upon the surrender of Mauritius in 1810, formalized in 1814 at the Treaty of Paris. Seychelles became a crown colony separate from Mauritius in 1903. Elections were held in 1966 and 1970. Independence was granted in 1976 and it became a republic at the same time. It has been a member of Commonwealth. In the 1970s, Seychelles was the place to be seen, a playground for film stars and the international jet set. In 1977, a coup d'état by France Albert René ousted the first president of the republic, James Muncham. René discouraged overdependence on tourism and declared that he wanted to keep the Seychelles for the Seychellois. The 1979 constitution declared a socialist one-party state, which lasted until 1991. In the 1980s there were a series of coup attempts against President René, some of which were supported by South Africa. In 1981, Mike Hall led a team of 43 South African mercenaries masquerading as holidaying rugby players in The 1981 Seychelles coup d'état attempt. There was a gun battle at the airport, and most of the mercenaries later escaped in a hijacked Air India plane. The leader of this hijacking was German mercenary D. Claude, a former member of the Rhodesian Shash. Claude later stood trial in South Africa as well as in his home country Germany for air piracy. In 1986, an attempted coup led by the Seychelles Minister of Defense, Ogilvy Berluise, caused President Rene to request assistance from India. In Operation Flowers Are Blooming, the Indian naval vessel Vindhyagiri arrived in Port Victoria to help avert the coup. The first draft of a new constitution failed to receive the requisite 60% of voters.